4 years. We've been chirping for 4 years now.
And you know what? I think we've been pretty nice.
We have been.
But I think it's time to be a little bossy.
I think we should.
And this is Chick to Chick. So when you got your report card, elementary school, maybe even middle school, I don't know about you, but mine would read things like, talks a lot, or is a leader in the classroom. I do believe a time or two I got a little bit of might be a little bossy comment. And I looked at it as, hey, I'm just very chatty. I am the leader of whatever the project is that we're working on. That's how I saw it. I don't know. I don't think I was trying to be jerky.
Well, I think all of that is accurate and nothing much has changed.
Good. I'm glad because I like it.
I don't remember my report card, but something I do remember in high school, I was voted the biggest BSer.
That is perfect.
Perfect.
100%.
What else is perfect? That it's amazing. We have been doing this podcast for 4 years now. Yeah. This is our 4th anniversary. We're just blown away that we're still able to do this. Yeah. We've had about 200 podcast episodes now. Wow. And we just love it.
I'm even shocked about that.
Yeah, it's been 4 years.
It's funny because we launched it on April 1st, and we were like, hey, this is really no joke. This is not joke. We're not punking you. This is not April Fool's.
April Fool's. This was no joke, right. And it has been no joke for us. No, we keep growing and growing, and we love doing this every week and coming up with great topics to chirp about. And you mentioned the fact that, we've been really kind over the years, don't you think?
I mean, I think so. The cameras are off sometimes. It's a little different, and I think the misconception is, we can be a little tougher sometimes with questions, but we are very much so aware of not being what we thought was bossy in a bad way. Yeah. Right?
So when you say bossy, and this is what bothers me, when you talk about a guy being bossy, they're authoritative, right? They're credible, they're to be respected. Mm-hmm. But when a woman gets bossy, she's
a bitch. I'm going to say it. That's the perception. Yep. It's bitchy. There must be something wrong, whatever. It's a completely different take on how their reaction is, to really being authoritative.
So we're going to get a little bossy today, which brings us to our guest, Kristal Markle. She is the founder of Bossy Girl. And Kristal, thank you for coming on the podcast. Thank you for joining us for our 4th anniversary. And can you teach us how to be bossy, but not the way that people associate with being bossy?
Yes, I absolutely can. And congratulations, you guys.
Thank you.
Thank you.
This is a big deal. Well, yes, I absolutely can. But one of the things that I have to say before we even move forward into how is that so often when I have these conversations with folks, words like the ones you guys just said, jerky, not nice, all of those kinds of adjectives are the ones that so often are used to describe people who are bossy. And you already nailed it. Have you all ever heard of a man being called bossy?
No,
never.
He's a leader. He's strong. He's authoritative. He's to be respected.
Yes.
It's a whole
like I said, I used the B word and it wasn't bossy.
The B word.
It's true.
That's exactly right. And what happened to me was 6 years ago, I was in a very bad car accident and I had a traumatic brain injury. As a result, I could no longer read and write, and I had many physical complications. As I was fighting my way back through my recovery, I sat in a neurological surgeon's office and I was telling him what was right and what was wrong about what was going on with me. And he looked at me and he said, well, aren't you bossy?
Oh,
wow.
Aren't you bossy?
Oh.
And I thought, wait a minute. Wait a minute. I am a strong woman speaking for my opinion. My experiences are nothing that anyone else could speak to. And because I want to be heard, I am now labeled bossy. And from that moment, I went to the parking lot and I sat in my car and I thought, I am going to change this. I am going to redefine this word, because the truth is the women who are called bossy are the women who have a movement to lead. They're the women who have energy behind a mission and a motivation. They're the women that we want to hear from. But when that word bossy is used so often, it quiets us. It puts out our light, and we forget about our mission because of this double standard that has existed throughout the years that tells us that we are unable to speak our truth, especially when words like bossy have been used to define us, even as early, like you said, Carrie, as elementary school.
Yeah, and I love that you took a moment that really would have just been like, you've come off
terrible.
of something awful.
It's terrible.
You are basically criticized by a doctor.
Yes.
That's so upsetting.
Yeah.
And so I want to know, like, this is, I mean, it's a lot. How did you begin the process? How did you narrow it and define it? Because, you know, when you think about how you can relate to explaining this entire message, there's so much you can say.
There really is. There is so much that you can say. And what happened for me was, so before my car accident, I was a leadership consultant. I taught leadership development across most of the Mid-Atlantic region. And I always wanted to get back to doing that. So I had the skills to help people know how to influence others towards greatness, how to influence others to achieve a mission. I had those skills. Now I had to learn how to speak in full sentences again and read from a book, but I knew how to make people leaders. And I realized in that moment that I wanted to use those skills to help women even the playing field and become leaders that others want to follow. So I started with that. How do I create leaders that others want to follow, but that are called bossy and it's okay? So there's a whole movement called Ban Bossy, and it's led by one of our girl boss heroes called, her name's Sheryl Sandberg. So also Beyonce, the Girl Scouts, they took an approach towards this word, and that was to ban bossy. And I thought about this and I thought, you know, I just don't know if that's the right answer. We can ban a word, but it isn't going to change that people are going to use it. So if instead we reach the women who are leading, if we reach the women who want to achieve a mission and we help them own that word, it won't shut us down. It won't quiet our voices, and we'll be able to continue to lead. So that's the approach that I've taken, is taking the hands of leaders, executives, managers that want to be heard and achieve a mission and influence others, but they also know that it's okay to do that with confidence. And just like you said in the beginning here, being bossy, and I'm redefining bossy to mean courageous love in action.
Okay.
So courageous love in action is not bitchy. It's not jerky. And we're not going from being passive to being aggressive. We are actually learning to balance appreciation and accountability so that we can get from passive to being assertive.
So how do you help a woman who might be a little bit more timid, a little bit more reserved? How do you teach that woman to be bossy in the sense of being courageous and fierce and confident without being a bitch, as you said?
Absolutely. I actually, believe it or not, have an entire scale where you can measure the issue that is happening by how important it is that the outcome is positive. And using this scale, it actually tells you when it's appropriate to be aggressive. So for instance, if the building is on fire, you need to be aggressive. Everybody get out of here right now. This is a safety issue. Aggression is okay. On the other hand, if it's about, you know, where are we going for dinner tonight, being passive is perfectly fine too. But what I do is I give tools that people can use. So I help people to understand themselves so that they can travel and meet others where they are. And what that oftentimes looks like is trying to understand, okay, this is who I am. This is what I need. And it can look like I am a very logical, task-oriented person, and I'm speaking to someone who perceives the world through emotion. What kind of skills would I need to use to fill this gap from where I am to where they are, and that we can actually build a cohesive team together?
Outside of someone being a CEO or whatever, what do you have as advice for younger women coming up, late teens and early 20s?
Sure. So being bossy is based on 4 pillars. The first one is courage. And what I do when I'm working with young women is we start with defining the mission. What is it that you're trying to achieve? I want you to ask yourself that question. What are you trying to achieve? Now, once you answer that question, I want you to also answer, how important is that to you? If this is truly important, I want you to make the choice that you are going to move forward with it. And oftentimes making the choice, we all know courage does not mean that you don't have fear. Courage means that fear exists and you do it anyway. And you can find people to support you through that choice, but understanding what that choice is and why that choice is important is where we need to start. And then we move through these pillars and we work on authenticity. And that's where we use the tools to understand who you are. And I think that we can do that even in really simple ways. There are tools that you can do online to understand what your needs are. There are tools that you can access on my website. Go find them. And that level of authenticity will help you to move to the next level. And then when we move, the next step in being bossy is what takes bitchy out of the picture. And that's grace. When we learn to be elegant and graceful in voicing our opinion and making sure that our voice is about the mission and not about gaining things for ourselves. So if at any point when you are trying to voice your opinion and you're not sure if you have the confidence to do it well, don't make it about you. Share it based on the mission. And then the last piece is love. Whenever you're operating from a place of love, what happens is you put others' needs before your own. And in all of those things, the outcome is courageous love in action. And that is where we can be proud to be bossy. And when somebody says, you know what, Flora, you know what, Carrie, you're bossy.
Okay.
The only answer that you'll have at that point is thank you.
Thank you. And
Thank
you for your great advice. Kristal, if women want to become bossy and join the movement, where can they get more information?
Absolutely.
About you?
Go to bossygirl.org. We have many resources there. And we also offer organizational development skill building sessions for anybody that would like to try out what it could look like to build a leadership team that others want to work for.
Love
Wonderful.
it.
Thank you, Kristal.
Thank you, Kristal.
Thank you.
Wasn't this great?
I feel bossy.
You do.
I feel
bossy
happy,
in a good
bossy
way.
Yeah.
In a good way. She
it.
said something so important because sometimes, when my son is on my last nerve, and I'm trying to tell him something and teach him something and give him some advice. And I always tell him, you need to understand this is coming from a place of love. I'm trying to help you. I'm not trying to hurt you. And that is such an important point that she pointed out.
Yeah, it's all good. Thank you. Listen, we appreciate you being here. We hope that you're going to be a little bossier.
4 years.
And 4 years. Thanks, Chick.
Thank you.
It's been great. So much fun with you over 4 years.
Great.
We have so much more to come. Anyway, we hope that you will go over to our YouTube channel, Chick to Chick, like and subscribe until we are back to continue this whole thing.
Because we'll be back.
We'll be back with more podcasts.